this right now, I don't think we've done this before. This is in the business industry, in the finance industry, in terms of like just being a boss. To be honest with you, these are the type of circles that you need to move in. So without any further ado, we have the main man in here.
Yo,
Trist
my
Rap
people,
City,
damn.
my guy.
I'm not gonna lie, them intros there put him on the pedestal.
It's serious.
I'll take the pedestal. Nah, guys, thank you. First and foremost, thank you so much for reaching out, man. I appreciate it, especially the fact that you lot are actually connected with what I'm doing, and it's not just like we don't do the clout thing. It's just substance over everything. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me, man.
It's serious.
So let's just tell the whole of London, who are you and what do you do?
Alright, so first and foremost, Trist Rap City, Trist Taylor, Trist Grow Daily. So I manage multiple businesses. So first and foremost, the one that sort of established me in like the social media space would be Rap City more so. Car modification company, we wrap cars, tint cars, alloy refurbs. We pretty much can do the interior jobs as well. Anything car based, custom wise, we do. And then a passion project that sort of is what obviously Troy was referring to, that I started as a passion project but now is becoming a business, is a platform called growdaily.co.uk, which is an online platform for personal development, motivation, and those are my sort of main focuses. And then lastly, which is my new baby, is the Brand Therapist. So Brand Therapist is digital media marketing agency, obviously brand consultancy. Within that we do design as well. So I try and pretty much put them all together as one, which is obviously why I'm here today to secure all three of them.
You know what I'm saying?
So
this
you're
is
securing multiple bags.
Multiple
business. Big business.
We have to, man. We have to. To be fair, the main focus is just making sure that they are passionate projects.
Yeah.
That's the bag I'm on. Do you get what I mean? Like some people put the finances first. For me, I'm not gonna lie, it's passion, and then the bag just comes as default.
That's it, yeah.
So I want everyone that's gonna listen to this interview, I want everyone to sort of get a better understanding about your journey, where you started, what the trials and tribulations you've had to go through to get to where you are now. Because of course, anyone could look at you now and be like, nah, this guy's doing this, he's doing that, he's in the mix with everyone. But of course, you had to work to get to that stage. So, and of course, being invested in the brands myself, I know you sort of was in sales and sales based and was doing all of that. So I want everyone to sort of know where you started, even from an individual level, and then how you sort of got into the businesses you're doing now.
Do you know what? It's a really good question. It's a really long journey, and even as I said, coming in here, like I was on this station and when it was Bang, and that was like a whole different version of me when I was like 18. But originally I started out music, so I started out DJing. And then I was kind of, so my team, I was part of a team called Play Entertainment. We was
that's the funky era. That's the funky era.
If you don't know about Play Entertainment,
you wasn't raving. If you didn't know about Play Entertainment, you weren't raving.
There.
Man was doing up.
You know, was part of that area.
Come on,
bro,
that's serious.
That's where it really started for me.
Play Entertainment.
That was my team. So sort of started in there. That was like my first experience building a brand or added to a brand. Obviously we had events, so I went to Iron Apple at like 18 years old. I had multiple events out there. Stayed there for the whole summer, like 3 years on the trot. Came back, and then it slightly, so the team Play Entertainment, we slightly split up a bit. And then me and my business partner, who's now my partner with Grow Daily, who was then an artist called Big Man Zest.
Big Man Zest.
He had a banger, you know.
Jumping in the
Come
middle.
on.
So he's actually my partner for Grow Daily now. So we went sort of separate. I was like 19, 20 at this stage. I started a PR company called New Money PR. Which was focused on pretty much what Brand Therapist is now, but it was just premature. So it was like a PR agency, obviously artist management. Our whole thing was turning your idea into money. That was our.
You guys had a pretty big studio, right?
So we had a studio we used to use. It wasn't necessarily ours, but we had a big studio we used to use. And we used to have, so we had artists under our roster. We also had documentary, we had the videographer side of things, graphic designer. So everything I'm doing now.
Everything was in-house.
Was that Cam? New Money and stuff.
No. So and then from there, New Money. So then, as you mentioned, after that, I got rid of everything. Reason being is because bills, bro. Like life, like.
So get into that. So you had all of these things bubbling, and then you reached a point where you thought, you know what, I actually need to sort of get rid of this and start new.
Do you know what it was? So I was like 20 years old. At that stage, I had actually been kicked out of my house, so it was like life kind of hit me kind of fast. And all these ideas that I had were brilliant, but they all needed money and a lot of it.
Right.
So for me, like luckily, I've always had like really good. I've had a good friendship group a lot of the time.
Right.
And one of my friends was doing really well working in the city, and he was basically an investment salesman. And he was working across commodities, so he was working with like fine art, fine wine, loads of different products. And he was just like, bro, you're wasting your life. Like my surroundings were really bad. Like I was just around a lot of like the more negative guys in my area.
You said you was in ends.
Yeah, like I was really doing ends lifestyle, like living out of just mad situations. You know what I mean? And yeah, he just literally came along. He said, bro, you've been branding, you've been selling your events, not realizing you're good at sales. Learn these scripts, and I promise you, I know you can do it. And for years I sort of fought against it because I thought that's not my path, that's your path. But it got to a point where it was like I need another path. And he just like started he went 20-21 years old. He went from pulling up in the Audi TT to then pulling up in the X6, and I was like, and then he pulled up in the Aston Martin. And these weren't like weeks, these weren't like rentals. This was like, I've summarized it. This was like over like a year and a half. So when he had come with Aston Martin, I'm like, what are you selling, bro? Because like whatever it is you're selling,
I'm involved.
Yeah, I'm involved. Like, and I knew that it was legal. I knew it was legitimate, and I thought, yeah, this is something. So I kind of by default just ended up working in the city, bro. And my whole come up was in the city, off of the internet. It was nothing to do with like all of this new generation of show. It was just get your head down, graft, sacrifice your whole life for 3 years and build the rest of your life kind of thing. And thankfully I did it because now the experience that I've built up and like the skill set is what's enabled me to be able to go on to do so many other things. And just to be able to speak and then sell my brands, and everything I do now is really boils back to sales. Do you get where I'm coming from? And that's sort of where we are now, bro.
Damn, that's great, man.
Amazing.
No, trust me. And to be fair, we're only kind of halfway there.
100%. Yeah, that is like that is the smallest summary. As you know, if you've looked into my lives, like
of course,
I can chat off for years in regards to how it's been. But lots of ups and downs. Sort of since then, that took me to about 2016. I went LA 2015, 16. I saw a culture out there that I just thought was. There's so much more celebrating of entrepreneurship and wins and success because we're in like the British Empire, so the British culture is very much like you should be humble, you should dumb things down, you should be classy. In LA it was just like, yo, ball out, win, you're winning. It was just embracing. So I came back from there thinking we need more of that culture here. And then my business partner was like, he wanted to start a platform called Grow Daily, but he was thinking about fitness and exercise. And I thought one thing that sales taught me was a whole different mindset. Like it taught me the idea of like what you think you can achieve, and the person who thinks he can and the person who thinks he can't are both right. Like mad mantras that I just thought this makes so much sense to me.
That's a proper sales mantra.
Yeah,
if you know, you know.
100%. So those concepts, then the books that we read as by default, and then just the environment I'm around. Like my manager was a 27-year-old multi-millionaire, and it was a crazy environment to go from like Sydenham, Southeast London, to like working in the city, and like all of my guys in my office had like Bentleys, Ferraris and Lambos. So seeing that was just like, and then realizing that all I really did was change my mindset. Really, I know there was so much more involved, but it was my mindset. So then I thought, if we could have a platform, and I was quite well connected within the music industry, so I was inspired by like Rashid, Posty, and I thought they've got platforms that when you think of UK music, you have to go there. If you're from America, sorry, go on, bro.
So let's talk about who Rashid is and just about, you know, like people that you were inspired by.
Like Rashid is if they don't know, the owner of Link Up TV. That's someone
people might not even know who
Rashid. 100%. Rashid is someone that if you don't know within the urban, I hate that word, but within
for now we got to use it. For now,
within this culture, if you don't know, then definitely get to know. And Posty being the CEO behind GRM Daily as well. Both of those platforms inspired me massively because I saw a lot of them. So with Rashid, like a mad random fun fact, like I was no, I've never even said this on the platform, but I did a behind bars. I was like one of the first 5.
Whoa!
No one knows that.
You said that's an exclusive. Is that an exclusive?
Bro, it's so random, bro. Yeah. Anyway, so the behind, it's not on the internet anymore in case anyone's trying to find it. So
I might have to hit up Rashid, you know,
Bro.
try to get the footage.
listen, so like I saw Rashid build it from pretty much the early days,
Yeah.
and then Posty just more so being a fan of his platform.
Yeah.
And I thought they have platforms that are central platforms for what they do. So if an American comes here and says UK music, what we're gonna do? We're gonna show them GRM, Link Up, and SBTV as well.
Yeah.
So I just thought, do you know what? I want to come in, and this is like my mission, is like to blend the culture, like the quote unquote urban culture, with personal development, motivation, entrepreneurship, and just that's why Grow Daily is here.
So just touching very briefly on your motivation, like what inspires you as an individual there? Because you said that motivation is a platform that you go into. So what inspires you? Who inspires you? And let's talk more deeply about you as a person and as an individual.
For me, I think again surroundings. Like I'm a big believer of show me your 5 friends, I can show you your future. So I'm fortunate enough that I say fortunate, I've handcrafted my friendship group. I've handcrafted who I speak to on a daily basis. I speak to people that have successful mindsets, good energy, that practice habits that can only result in success. So firstly, they inspire me. Secondly, I would say I'm very, very, very inspired by like the hip hop industry. A lot of people like in my space, they won't say that. A lot of people will just only refer to like your public speakers. But for me, people like Diddy and Hove, and then people like Meek Mill and Nipsey,
They've
like
been doing big things for
100%.
years.
100%. And when you listen to their music, they are my versions of books. Like listening to Nipsey Hussle is multiple books.
Yeah.
So for me, those are the people that inspire me as well. And then don't get me wrong, there are people in my space, i.e. your Gary Vee. I am massively inspired by Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Like I would be completely lying if I didn't say that a lot of the way I'm branding myself is like my version of Gary Vee. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I would say those 3, man. Just like keeping the right people around you, bro. Like when you work in the city and the environment I was in, and you're seeing the goals being achieved by even like my friend who brought me in, 22, 23 years old, like owned multiple properties, like driving around in Lamborghini, stuff like that, like living a certain lifestyle, I can't help but be inspired. So like you see when people are like, how do you stay inspired? It's like, surround yourself with the right things, bro. Surround yourself with things that even on your down day, you're faced with things that are like, no, I need to level up. Do you know what I mean?
So I want to ask you something here. Obviously you've had quite a lot of success, especially in the sales industry. You was having quite a lot of success. So I want to know, was you ever lost in the sauce? Did you ever start 100%. Doing the clubs and start doing the
100%.
Bottles?
No, do you know what, I'll be honest with, because of my play entertainment era, the clubs didn't draw me in later because I had done a lot. Like, when I was in Napa at 18, I thought I was the guy. I didn't have no money, but I was in cold steps, so it didn't matter to me. So by the time I got to like the city, it wasn't clubs, but in regards to Lost in the Sauce, 100%.
Okay. So just speak to us about that. Like,
I would say my Lost in the Sauce was. I would say just like overly. So at that time, you see like the culture we have now on social media, it's very normal to see like people going to fine dine restaurants and fine first class and buying rollies, and it's normal now. But in like 2012, 2013 when this happened for me, it wasn't normal.
It was not normal.
So the source I got lost in was I was moving like how rappers move now back then in regards to just flexing. Very, very looking back and being honest with myself, ego was my main drive. Right. I wasn't really. Don't get me wrong. One thing about me, I've never been a. You can't swear on here, can you?
No.
I've never been someone who flexes on people. Like, that's never been my thing. My thing is I flex, but I'll show you how I got to it.
Right.
So the Lost in the Sauce, I would say mainly just getting carried away.
Flex. I like
that's my angle. But I would say how I got lost in the sauce was bad financial management, bro. More than anything.
Please talk about that, because I think a lot of people get money and they think that's it. Like once you get money, it's like, I've got bread, bro. And it's cool because even if I spread this bread, I'm getting another check at the end of the month, so I'm good.
And that was the trap I got caught up in, because in the sales industry, your managers drive you to like spend 20 grand, you're gonna make 30 next month. Spend 30 grand, you make 40 next month. And I did get caught up in that trap. And the reason I did it because it was working, but then I looked back and I realized I didn't have nothing saved though. So like my first year of making good money, I didn't save anything. But like I had like stuff and things and like a lifestyle. So where the trap was for me is I wasn't educated financially, bro. Like I didn't grow with financial literacy. Like I grew up in an environment like most people's, like Lewisham Borough, South East London. Like that wasn't. Don't get me wrong, brilliant education. Like I was private school educated, but they didn't teach me nothing about financial management. Do you get what I mean?
Nothing, and then you get it, and then you just
nothing.
Spun kind of thing.
And for me, because it was like so much money in a very quick space of time, you don't know how to move. You don't know how to move, and because I'm surrounded by it, it's so easy to get caught up.
Everyone's doing the same thing as well.
So you just literally are just thinking, do you know what? Let me commit myself to big spends. I'll make it back next week, rather than let me build a life. And I think that's where, like, I went up, came down for a bit, and then this chapter that we're going through now is me obviously building the life.
Where did the change come in terms of your financial education?
Bro, when you lose when you not lose everything, but when you lose,
you say when the bank account starts going.
When you lose, like I don't think there's no special time in regards to like, oh, what happened. I'll just say that the L's, so for me, where it really came was when, and that's mad, I posted this morning, is when we started Rap City, and me and TE, my partner TE D.
Shout out TE,
shout out
each
TE
and every time.
We just went like, well, me mainly driving it. We was just like, bro, I want the maddest place. I want it to look mad. Like, I want the biggest unit. We're gonna take over everyone. Like, what money? I don't care. I got money. Like, just take this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The artwork in that place looks like masterpieces.
We had funny Tommy come down from like Ireland. We was just moving mad. Like, we put him in hotel. We was just moving mad, bro.
Yeah. He's a big boy artist as well, you know.
Funny Tommy has never, just so everyone's aware, has never done what we done.
Yeah, like he's a serious artist. For you to have him, I know that weren't. That didn't
cheap. So where that change really happened was Rap City. Because I jumped out of sales straight into Rap City,
right?
I sort of jumped without a parachute, bro, and it was kind of like.
So did you quit sales?
Yeah, I literally, because so to go back within the sales, I had stopped being a salesman myself, and I started sales training.
Right.
So I had my own companies that I could go and train. So therefore, I had multiple bits of income. I just literally went, I'm out of this. And I just went and did Rap City, thinking like, I've got money behind me, I'm alright, I'll be alright. Rap City will pop, I've got the right network, we'll get the superstars, we'll be gone.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. and at first it felt like that, like we got Stormzy in the first month, I'm like, yeah, we're lit. And then like 6 months down the line where there's like a slow month and you still got to pay the overheads and it's like, no more money's coming in because I'm not doing sales. It was like, yo. So took all of that back and just had to go back to grassroots, bro. Like literally back to what I knew at the beginning, the reading, the affirmations, waking up early, grinding, like come off of social media, forget all of that, grow yourself kind of thing. And that's how I'd say build in, because even this conversation now is like it's only last summer was a hard summer, so it's a transition, but it's a lot easier when you know the formula, and that's what I'm trying to push out there, is the formula so other people can go and do it.
Okay, so my next question for you is that what would you say to a young mum that is struggling with a boy, let's say he's young,
16. Actually, let's say between 12 and sort of 15, because that's
What words of wisdom or what word of advice can you give to the younger generation?
That's a really, really good question.
Both to the mum and then to the child as well.
It's ironic because, as you might know, I did a live recently about what they should teach in schools.
That's why I asked it.
Good question. Good background research.
We're watching. We always do our research before we bring anyone here.
That's good. I love that. The first thing I would say is, I would put personal development over everything as a parent. So if you're that mum and you're struggling, you say struggling with the child, struggling with the son, or struggling in their own life.
Well, just struggling in general.
I would say first and foremost is to really focus on personal development before your quote unquote classroom education.
Right.
So what I mean by that is like working on the mindset, working on how they think about themselves, how they see themselves, what they think is achievable. I was like saturated with a lot of Black history growing up, like a mad amount. So I done like a whole degree by the time I was 8, just in knowing that we were kings and princes and royals and queens as well. So for me, self-worth I would instill massively, personal development I would instill massively, get them reading the right books, get them away from certain things. My mum never let me play out, bro. I wasn't allowed out in my ends until I had done certain things. And it made a massive difference. It might seem small, but for me, I wasn't there at every fight, I wasn't there at every other thing. Like I wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? So
it makes you value it.
100%. And in those days that you miss out, certain people might have gone jail or even died, and you wasn't there. So that's something I would definitely implement. For the child, it would be to focus on, I'll be honest, for me personally, and one of my good friends does it with his son, is to start gearing them towards a certain craft above everything else.
Okay.
Like, because for me, like a lot of our older generation said it, like, learn a craft, but now the crafts are different.
Yeah.
So the crafts back then were like go to college and learn to be a tradesman,
Yeah, it was
or
a trade,
builder
yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that, which I respect. But now the crafts, which I hope and I wish everyone sees them as crafts, is things like how to manage a social media page, things like how to monetize off of YouTube, things like how to build a brand, how to manage people. These are important things, and I think if you start to gear, and a lot of the people that come into the live do this with their kids, gear your kids if that's what they like. Don't force your kids.
Yeah.
Of course.
But to start to give them the tools to do those things, like when I talk about building brands, my dad built brands, my mum built brands, so they gave
was
me the
embedded in
schools.
you,
Yeah,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
They're the skills. Sorry. So those are the things that I would do. Is I'd point them in
But
that
however,
direction.
a lot of parents have come from the background where, son, you have to be a doctor.
Of course,
Son, you have
of
to be a
course,
lawyer.
of course.
Son, you have to go in
And
the
accountant.
direction.
Parent pressure.
100%, and I think the only thing for that is, first and foremost, you can't take people out of a mindset that they want to be in. That's the first thing I'll say.
Yeah.
But what I will say more importantly than that is, if you are that child who's like 16, 17, 18 now, or even 19, 20, 21, it's your job now to undo. Something I talk about a lot is we have a lot of undoing to do when we're growing in life.
Talk
A lot of
about
us
that.
think it's learning,
Talk about
but
that.
we really have a lot of unlearning to do. A lot of us are, remember, we are a result of the projection of our parents. So if our parents have projected a mindset onto us, we have that mindset on us. It's our job sometimes to undo that mindset, bro.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you've got to go back and think, well, I know why they taught me that, but that's not the real world now. I know why they taught me that, but that's not the real world now. So that's what platforms like Grow Daily are there for, to help you unlearn certain habits, deal with certain things that, I know it sounds drastic, but they're traumas, bro. Like what you just said is your parents' trauma and your parents' trauma being passed down to you, and now you think that's the only way of life. So now, because you haven't got a degree, you think you're a failure. When you might have 100,000 followers on Instagram, brilliant engagement, and a career path in front of you, but your mum's ashamed of you because you're not a solicitor. Do you see where I'm coming from? So
Crazy.
I think it's just important for you to, for the kids as well as the parents, to just make sure that this is a new time we're in, bro. This is, everything is new. So you see these old-fashioned views, some of them do remain, because you can't, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't necessarily, there's nothing new under the sun, as they say, but it's a new age, so a lot of things, new hustles are available.
So let's make this realistic now, and let's put some
I hate
smart
that word,
words in
by
there.
the way.
Okay, so
I hate that word. What is that? Go on.
we can talk about SMART goals, specific, measurable, So now let's make this practical now, What practical steps, can, let's say, a mum put in place for a child that is possibly, I'll say, struggling, or a child that
Or
lacks
going down
directions.
that path. You know that path.
Yeah, I know
there?
the path.
That path there. You know what? My son is. You know what? I think that he's hanging around with the wrong kind of
crowd.
people, the wrong crowd there. How can I change that? Because we've got a lot of parents that listen to this show, and we've got a lot of families that listen to this show as well. What practical steps would you put in place for parents that are worried about their children going down the wrong direction?
One of the first things I will say, and I have to send a big shout out to my mum. My mum's a young mum. She had me at 17 years old, so I understand this journey inside out, and single mum as well.
Shout out Mumsy.
For me, what was important, and what she done, is because realistically, not being a parent, I can only look at the good parent examples. Is she became my friend as well as my parent. Becoming my friend allowed me to be more open with her, and what I would do now with my kids is to become a friend and a parent. Don't get me wrong, it's a thin line. But if you can master that line, you're therefore able to know the challenges your children are going through. In the process of knowing what they're going through, it's easier to help them with that process. So one thing I will say, and just to go back to your question, there's not a pretty answer. Like there's not. I'm not going to sit here and make it sound like there is, because there's not. If your child is already in that route, and I hear a lot of these people speak about, like when we touched on like the drill topics and like the gang violence topics, it's so easy to say, if we just gave them youth clubs and if we just gave them this, but bro, see, from being on that side of the fence, that's my best friend and that's my best friend and that's my best friend, and last week those people over there just harmed my best friend. You can't, it's almost impossible, because your best friends become your family. But that's what I would say that the parents could do. There has to be a family feel. It takes a village to raise a child. I believe that. So whether it's friends around the parents, whether it's other family members, there needs to be a community to help that child, number one. Number two, ways to stop it, I would say, is to just provide alternative solutions, but without being controlling.
Here we go.
Let's be honest, like most of us probably included, we didn't like control.
Yeah,
I
being
hated
told what to
control.
do in that.
Do you get what I mean? I absolutely hated control because it wasn't something I felt like your parents don't understand. When your parents are able to become your friend, you feel like they understand, you listen to their instructions more, I would say. So that's my answer. Again, I know it isn't giving the perfect solution because I don't believe there is one.
Yeah.
I believe it starts, to answer your question, bro, I believe it starts years before that part.
Yeah.
I think if you're at a stage now and you feel like you're losing your child, rather than send them back to Jamaica, like, and that's not to say, oh, give up, you're done. But my point is that what I'm trying to highlight is the importance is in the earlier ages. You plant those seeds earlier, and then a lot of it, as it goes on, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it is hope that the seeds are planted right, and then just reaffirming, guiding them with certain things, and open people's mind, open your children's mind. Luckily, going to a private school, I saw so many different ways of making money, different career paths, different things. As parents, if we introduce certain things like, you know what little Daryl's doing down the road, and you know what do you get what I mean? Those things will allow you to think outside of the box, but at the same time, it's more key at early ages.
Perfect.
I'm loving that, you know.
Wow.
Listen,
you
we're
are
getting
dropping some gems today.
I told everyone,
I'm not
grab
gonna
your
lie,
pen and grab your pad.
Good. Like, and I like things that, for me, like I don't do a lot of these anymore, and I won't, because I find that a lot of the questions are generic. It's like, what motivates you, what inspires you, like, and I know it's important, but these are one thing you said that I love is practical. Someone listening to this might think it's easy for him. Rare. That's why I want it to be more practical.
All right. So we've got a very special guest in the building as well.
Listen.